Hi everyone, ¿Qué pasa? From Amsterdam live again for another STRAAT Talks. From Amsterdam to Buenos Aires, staying connected. Today we have none other than Nase Pop, in other words Daniel, with us. You can already see his work in the back. I just spoke to him just 2 minutes ago, so I know he's more than ready. And here he is to join. Let's give it 1 second. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm fine. How are you?
Good, good. Yeah.
Perfect. What's the time over there?
It's 1 in the afternoon.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Tuning in the Netherlands for 6 o'clock. An evening STRAAT Talks right from the STRAAT Museum. Live as usual. So for everyone tuning in, and also for Daniel, STRAAT Talks is a talk that we do every week or every couple of weeks. And we will introduce one of our artists that is also presented in the museum. And we'll chat with you, and we'll see how it's going, what you're up to, future plans, a little bit about the history. I read quite a lot regarding the reasons why you started, and your inspiration, your motivation. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. And for everybody that just tuned in or will tune in later, just shoot your questions to us. And I'm sure Daniel and myself are more than happy to answer them. So Daniel, I already started Capasa. How are you doing?
Very well. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's todo bien.
todo bien.
It's Monday, so
Yeah,
it's a holiday here. I don't know if it's in Holland as well,
no.
a week off, but I have 2 children, one of 5 and one of 8 months.
Yeah,
And on the moment that the one of 5 years doesn't go to school, the dynamic in the house changes a little bit. So today was
of course.
was a weird day, but
So,
no, everything very very well. Yeah.
okay, so you're still babysitting, or are we
A
allowed to
little bit.
talk?
No, we're allowed to talk, thank God.
Okay, so how's the situation in Buenos Aires right now?
Well, it's a weird country, very different from Holland.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that, or that you know a little bit about it, but it's typical
I've been
Latin.
there. I've been there. Um,
Okay.
Back then, I called it my favorite city in the world. So,
Okay.
but
Wow.
this is like 15, no, maybe even longer, 18 years ago. No,
Yeah.
15 years. Yeah.
That is not. It's nothing to do when it's still a wonderful city. Else I couldn't stay here.
Mm-hmm.
But it has enormous political problems, financial crises, social crises, and problems, and poverty is very high.
Okay.
It's extremely high and violent lately. Also to deal with the whole pandemic of last year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So people
Yeah.
have no work, they couldn't go out to work. So and there's not a good arrangement like we have maybe in Holland or in the West that you can apply for financial help. So
Yeah.
you really notice this by having everything closed. People went bankrupt and asking for money in the streets. So
Right.
it's pretty heavy.
Yeah,
And
that
you
sounds
notice it
terrible.
also in the you notice it of course also in the art market. I mean,
Yeah.
galleries can't survive. You know, people spend their money first on their house or on other stuff than buy an artwork. But
Mm-hmm.
they always survive and they always come back. You know, so we're just waiting for that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like a difficult situation to live in Buenos Aires right now.
Yes, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit, yes,
So,
yeah.
and you have a background in Holland and Buenos Aires, traveling from one to another.
Yeah.
Never doubted of traveling or moving back to the Netherlands lately?
We have it about every 4 years or three
Okay.
years. Netherlands is not an option
No?
because my wife would never be able to
Enjoy the
ground
cold.
there. Yeah,
Okay.
it's mostly the weather that holds us back for Holland. But we're always
Yeah.
dreaming a little bit about Portugal or
Okay.
Spain. But a little bit more to Portugal. But in the end, we always stay. I mean, the life is so fixed already here and
Mm-hmm.
armed that it will be very difficult to take that step. But
Okay.
it's always there. And I think, for instance, on this kind of moments, it comes very close, and we talk about it daily. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Okay, yeah, I understand. Well, you never know. Maybe at some point. Well, Portugal seems
exactly.
nice, but Spanish is maybe better in Spain, right? Or
Uh,
you also
uh,
speak Portuguese?
no, I don't speak Portuguese, but we understand. It's
Yeah,
similar.
yeah. It sounds a little bit like a drunk Spanish, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
So where do you live in Buenos Aires?
I've been living here now for almost 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
And until the beginning of this year, I've been living in the city, in downtown.
Yeah.
But we decided for the kids to move outside the city and in a normal house with a garden and a pool. Everybody has a pool here, so that's
Okay.
wonderful.
Wow.
Uh, yeah.
Sounds great.
Uh, yeah, we're very lucky in that sense, and just and choose for suburbs. Suburbs, yeah, it's like a Almere of Amsterdam or something, you know. But then Almere
Right.
of Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very easy, very tranquilo, and
Okay. Yeah.
it's a close neighborhood, so it's very safe. The kids can
Yeah.
run on the street without me worrying about them. And from here to my studio, that is still in the city, it's more or less 45 minutes, so it's
Okay.
doable. Because the
So
distances here are very different than in Holland. So
yeah, yeah.
my average day in the car is 2 hours a day or something, you know,
Okay,
maybe
so you're
sometimes
doing this every day?
almost every day. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So just before we started this interview, I was talking to you on the phone, and we
Hmm.
discussed, well, of course, your real name Daniel, but then Nase. So what's the reason behind that name? And Nase Pop. I know the crew is Pop, but what's the origin of Nase?
Well, no, the two names morphed a little bit on one moment, just by putting it all time together, and
Mm-hmm.
it sounds good for me, you know, the two
It
things
does.
together.
Nase Pop.
It has to do with my colors as well, the pop colors, and
Mm-hmm.
but NASA, goes way back. When I started with the graffiti when I was very young, trying out many names like a kid, of course.
Yeah.
And on one moment, this thing with a nose, it
Yeah, I
stayed.
thought so. Yeah. Okay. Hmm.
So,
Right.
but yeah, it comes from when I was, I don't know, 13, 14 years old. And
Yeah.
it was a little bit of a nickname in the neighborhood. And I don't know why that come from. And then I just turned it into German because I thought the name, the letters were much nicer together.
Yeah.
And it's something
Yeah.
very silly like that.
Okay. Funny.
Yeah.
So you're already talking about it, like the beginning, 13,
Hmm.
14 years old. What was your first inspiration to start painting? Do you remember what you painted? Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Well, I was born in Amsterdam, but my
Mm-hmm.
parents took me to Almere very young age, very
Okay.
young age. I still like hate them for this, but it's okay.
You still have nightmares about it?
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
not everybody here knows Almere, but it's much better, I have to say, than back in the days.
Yeah.
But it's like a big sandbox, you know, all new. There was nothing, not a tree, so it
This is
was
this
hard.
this new city just north of Amsterdam.
Pure work and sleep neighborhood, all the same brick, very boring, no color.
Yeah.
It just invited me to do mischief and go out at night with friends and do whatever, build fires and get into building spaces and stuff and play
Yeah.
around there. And on one day I found a can of how do you call it, oil for the chain of the bike,
Okay.
and it was
Yeah.
little brownish stuff, and I started
Yeah. Yeah.
writing in the flat of my mom on all the white panels on the gallery there that's connecting all the front doors, my name, Daniel, 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 Daniel,
Smart.
until the last one. Yeah, very smart. The last one, my neighbor caught me and took me on my ear, like very old school, up to my
Mm-hmm.
mom,
Yeah. Yeah.
swearing 1,000 how do you say it,
Yeah. Yeah.
languages.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it was a Moroccan guy, so I don't know what he said, but it was very nasty. And I had to clean it. I couldn't clean it. And the next day, my mom bought me a book. I think it was Style Wars. No, sorry,
Okay.
Subway Art. Subway Art.
Oh,
She says,
nice.
"This is it. You know, this is what you're doing." It's like, ah, thank you. So my mom is like the inspiration there or something. That put like the oil on the fire that was there. And she said,
That's a lovely start of your career as an artist.
well, this is when I was much younger than 12, but from that moment I started reading about graffiti, I understood everything, and go to Waterloopplein, to Hanks, because that was the
Yeah.
place to get the graffiti, and asking for Christmas, my birthday, to everybody, my family, for cans, markers, anything that I could use to go out at night and paint Almere. So,
It's still funny to hear you say Almere. Yeah. Well, that's a lovely beginning. And so back then, I can imagine you didn't start painting in the
no.
way as we can see in the back. Um, can you tell us a little bit more about this? Because what we can see here in the museum, and your work is actually part of a theme personal, but it could just as have been as one part of aesthetics, a theme that we have that is moving from the traditional graffiti towards more of an own style. How was this for you?
Well, when growing through that whole period, I noticed that there was a living, so I could do something that I loved. So I started doing more paintings, and I didn't feel right what I was doing. So I started investigating and studying more about the art, abstract art. As architecture always has been a big part in my I love architecture, so
Okay.
my interest is there always. Everything leads back to where I grew up, because boring, straight, everything lined, aligned, perfectly placed, trees, like even if you went to the forest, you know.
Yeah.
So I think I needed this how do you say it? I needed to deconstruct that a little bit.
Okay.
And that translated slowly into the work that I started doing in the abstract works. And also just the whole influence of going from analog to digital. I think a lot of people from my age have this, you know.
Yeah.
We were analog and we became digital, so we have that that transition. Going to design school, what is it, Lyceum Amsterdam.
Okay. Yeah. As an
Dintelstraat, and
illustrator.
yeah, as an illustrator, using the
Yeah.
computer more and more to make my sketches, not
Yeah.
just drawing, just use the illustrator directly.
Yeah.
And the need of just make a contrast with the colors of that gray, rainy Holland, you know, with bricks.
And living in Almere.
And living in Almere, I
Yeah.
moved back on the moment I could to Amsterdam, though. But it's still very grey and very strict and very straight. And you know, going on vacation to Brazil and to Spain, and always being with warm countries or have an
Yeah.
affiliation with that, they use all those colors and they have the chaos. So those two things you find in my work. Like even though it's structured, there's also chaos or something, in a orderly way.
Yeah.
So
Um,
that's a little bit.
we'll talk about this work in a bit. I think this is it doesn't look like chaos at all. It's very smooth. The work that we see in the back. It's called Nightlife. Um, but anyway, so when was this? This was in the 90s. The digital
No,
upcoming.
it came later. It came
Okay.
certainly later. Like and like my style that you see behind you came in around 2015 even.
Oh,
Like
okay.
when that
Yeah.
really developed. Like I worked a lot on it on the computer, but I didn't have the
Hmm.
confidence yet to really paint those kind of works for myself or show them
Yeah.
to the world. So that was a big step for me for myself personally, but as well as my career, because you really notice it that on the moment that I choose to really go only for the art and not the commercial part anymore, because I was working a lot commercially also for brands and stuff. That
When was this?
this was during my whole life almost, like
No,
but
and
late.
yeah, when were you able to just fully focus on art and not on other things
I,
anymore?
th- I think the last 6 years or so,
Okay.
7 years.
Yeah. Okay. And so, well, you painted here. You painted outside.
Hmm.
What have you been going back to the pandemic a little? What have you been doing like last 1.5 years?
Poof. They were very slow years, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
When everything started, we were here in Buenos Aires. We're still living in the city in an apartment.
Okay.
And Argentina was one of the first countries that said directly, we're going to close everything down. Like you cannot go
Okay.
on the street. We couldn't go to nowhere. You had to have a permission to get out of your house. Ridiculous, also like too extreme.
Yeah.
And I couldn't bring my kid to the park, for instance. Like
Oh
he
yeah.
had to stay in the house.
Sounds more like Italy, for example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't really listen though. We went to the park and we ran for the police. It was a very nice game that I did with my son Theo. And we're like, okay, get us out of the grass, he said to the police, take me. And he threw
Yeah.
himself on the floor and I stayed there laying around. Really fun. But
Okay.
since that moment, after a couple of months of being very locked down, we got an offer from the embassy of Holland saying like, "Hey,
Okay.
you want to get out?" And we were like, "Yes," because there were almost no flights, only very
Okay.
special like embassy flights. And we got onto a plane, went to Holland, and we stayed a long time in Holland.
Yeah.
And I worked a couple of times with Blind Walls Gallery in Breda. You probably
Yeah.
know it.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. I know Dennis.
Well, Dennis,
Yeah.
he asked me if I could do another job for him, a big
Mm-hmm.
tunnel. And I accepted it. And I said, yeah, of course, I'm going. So let's do it. I think it's one of the biggest ones painted in Breda now. It's more than 2,000 square meters. It's like a underpass of two highways.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that was really nice because I could do something. It was free work. And during those 2 weeks that I worked on the bridge, every morning I woke up really early to go to a little warehouse that they have in the studio. And I made my atelier there.
Okay.
We put some works on the wall and started painting the works in the morning. Went to paint
Mm-hmm.
the bridge, came back in the afternoon, worked more on the works, and went home. So
Wow.
it
Okay.
felt like perfect
Yeah. Yeah. Combination.
combination.
Yeah.
And after that we went back to Argentina, and then again it was very quiet because there was no work. Everything was still closed. You could go around, but a lot of my providers couldn't make me the canvas that I use, and
Mm.
so I focused a little bit on this new series that I've been working on in Breda on some sculptures, but
Yeah.
very very slow. And this year that we went to Holland again. Everything was more weirdish, but open
Eh,
in Holland again.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we finally did the expo in Blind Walls Gallery with the works of last year.
Okay, yeah,
So they were there for a year waiting for this show to happen.
yeah.
That is still currently on view, by the way.
Okay. So how's that going?
Very well, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, a
yeah.
lot of good responses. We couldn't do an opening because it's not allowed to have so much people together, etc. But
Hmm.
until now, it's very, good reviewed, I think. So,
Yeah, that's a very nice bridge to the opening of STRAAT. We couldn't do an opening either.
yeah.
We just silently opened on the 9th of October last year, so almost a year.
Mm.
But you were there, I remember,
Yeah, yeah,
that day.
yeah.
So you were already, because the initial idea of the STRAAT Talks was to host talks with artists that are not able to visit the museum, and to show them the work in the museum and to just have a little introduction. Um, Still very much, I'm still very happy that we're doing this right now, but you've been here in the museum
Yeah,
already.
yeah, it was
How,
wonderful.
yeah, how is the experience for you now the museum is finally open?
Um, well, when I saw it finally, because I painted it a long time ago, and after all the works that done on the building, and it was open and walking around
Yeah,
that enormous, impressive space, it was yeah, mind blowing, to be honest.
yeah,
Also to see a lot of friends and people that I know having their works there, the truck hanging, like no, very very
yeah,
very
yeah,
impressive.
yeah,
And you get in, and one of the first works you see is mine there next to the Loutsider, I think. No, no.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, Prime, exactly. Yeah, super,
yeah,
super fun as well.
yeah.
So
Yeah, you're one of the first works that you can see, and I truly believe it's. I'm not. I don't hope any artists are watching this, but it's one of the best works with the evening lights on it.
okay, well,
Um, well, especially, I mean, your work it's even called Nightlife, so it's a matching story,
no,
and it really pops up,
pops in.
pops out when you see it by night.
No.
So that's really lovely, and for everybody watching from home, it's a really good work to see it at night at STRAAT. Yeah.
No.
So any plans on coming back, or how? What are you working on right now, for example?
I'm working on a little trip I have to do now to the States. I have to go to Miami
Mm-hmm.
to bring some new sculpture work. Like lately,
Yeah.
I've been, what I said earlier, I've been really focusing on my sculptures. I want to explore it more. So I'm shifting a little bit my time from painting to the sculpture.
Yeah.
And there's this guy interested to do a show, so
Oh,
I have
in
to bring
Miami.
some works in Miami. Yeah,
Great. When is this?
I have to fly in October, and then it will be for December, more or less. Yeah,
Okay, so this is
and
during Art Basel and everything.
yeah, I think it's during exactly those dates. I'm not completely sure though, but
Yeah.
yeah, could be.
Yeah.
And more than that, yeah, I'm just here in my studio working together with my carpenter. I have a carpenter that I work with that helps me out with problems that I have with my wood,
Okay.
and teaches me stuff,
Yeah.
and yeah, just having fun, just working.
Yeah. What I read before in an MTN article from 2 years ago,
Hmm.
they asked you for your favorite three works, I believe.
Hmm.
And I already saw a selection between like graffiti, trains, and well, abstract muralism. But I also saw you were talking about sculptures. Um, how do the sculptures look? I mean, we might have a feeling by looking at this, but how did you come to that inspiration?
Well, I always like to work with my hands and to
Mm-hmm.
construct. And what I felt with with the paintings is that it always stays, although it has a lot of depth, it stays a little bit flat, of course, because of the medium.
Yeah.
I needed to start exploring a little bit more how it would be if it would be in 3D. That you really can
Okay.
turn around it, see it from different angles, and play with that with different materials as well, like cement, metal,
Mm-hmm.
wood. A lot of wood because it's easier to handle and doesn't make so much mess like cement or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't need so much tools, heavy tools like metal and steel objects. But
Okay.
yeah, and what I said, I always had this fetish for architecture, so those two just started to mix. Painting big murals in how do you say it, in buildings and other
Mm-hmm.
complexes. It just came together,
Yeah.
and I saw that I needed to do more with that. So yeah, it's slowly morphing a little bit.
Okay.
Until that, like even now, I'm doing paintings that of sculptures that have paintings on it or in it, like a mural. So to mix the two even more.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's hope that show will happen in Miami.
Yeah.
Um, are you also going there, or is that not even a show
Only in
yet?
October, I'm gonna bring some works and paint a wall and do like I'm gonna produce the works there, like the paintings, because nowadays from Argentina to send things abroad is like very big hassle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just flying in there for 2 weeks, produce a lot of work, take a couple of things with me that I can bring on myself
Yeah.
without a handler or anything, and then come back. Probably the show I will go again, but I'm not sure.
Well, maybe we'll
No.
meet each other there back the end of the November, beginning of December. I'm not even sure if we can go there right now, Corona-wise,
Exactly.
to just enjoy Miami in beginning of December, but we'll see.
No.
Um, yeah, so you're working on the sculptures right now. Is there any future goal that you have with your style that that's still in your mind? Because we're talking about trains, muralism, sculptures, but is there any wish that is still in your head that is unfilled?
Well, this year is the first year that I cannot really talk about trains because in like 20 years, no, sorry, 25 years is the first time that I didn't touch one. So I'm a little bit sad about that. It's a
The,
dark
for the
page.
for the whole year, you mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
The other day I found out and I was like, oh yeah, and it's almost done the year. So
Yeah, yeah. You still
no,
have
I can.
some time.
No, I cannot be happy about that. But no, the focus shifted. So that part is it's fun sometimes, but it's on a side track, if I can
Yeah,
say.
of
And
course.
yeah, goals for the future. And I'm always changing, developing myself, or trying at least to go further and. How do you say it? Like investigate new ways
Yeah, yeah.
to get my ideas, or give life to my ideas.
Yeah.
So now I'm applying a lot to public art. How do you say it? Oh, I lost the name. Competitions,
So,
for instance, like
okay.
for public installations.
Yeah.
I
So
would
is
love to
this in
do.
Argentina or?
I do that in Argentina, but a little bit worldwide because there's a lot of
Okay.
the things that are like for everybody. So you just apply and show your ideas. I'm just starting with it, but I have this study about benches based on
Okay.
benching. That is a thing with trains.
Yeah.
I'll go to the station and see the graffitis roll by and stuff.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago, I won a competition, and they made me build my bench, my idea, in real time
Okay.
for this huge architect project here and competition here in
Cool.
Argentina. 1 week in a field far away, a lot of architects. I was the only one that had nothing to do, like real diploma architects. and all these really like huge guys and names and super nice that
And you were
I was
there.
chosen to build my bench. So I had to, I had a whole team. I think there were like 10 guys or something, all architectural students that
Yeah.
I had to tell them how to build my bench. In the end, they taught me how to do it, but
It's still an achievement,
yeah, absolutely.
right?
It was really
Yeah.
fun and interesting, and I learned a lot, of course,
Yeah.
and I made a lot of nice contacts for the future and friends even. So wonderful project, and this opened my eyes. Trying to do more with this, and I would love to build more benches for the public to enjoy
Yeah.
for everywhere.
So
And
if anybody's watching and needs a bench,
you know how to find me.
just contact Daniel. All
Yes,
right.
they're like my fallen towers or something, you know, like
Yeah.
funny installations. And also like another thing is that yeah, going through with the architecture is they asked me here from a city council to design a bird observation house.
Okay.
And this was a year and a half ago, based on the project with the bench for Hello
Yeah.
Wood. It's called, by the way.
Yeah.
And we designed it, and 2 months ago was the opening. So we built
Okay.
it, and now it's here somewhere in a natural reserve. And the local bird observatorium is using it with schools, and they come by there with all these kids watching the birds, and people come
Okay.
there with their big cameras and stuff. And it's really
All
really
right.
interesting.
I didn't see that. Is it on your Instagram already?
Yeah, yes, I think
Okay.
I
So, but
posted like
it's
a week
like
ago.
colors popping up, or
No, no, all wood. Very basic because it has to be there in the nature.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it
of
cannot
course.
be some bright
No,
fluid object.
I can
But
imagine.
it has completely my style. So.
Yeah. So, and looking back, because I already mentioned the article before, you mentioned a couple of your works. Back then, 2 years ago, the favorite works that you had, and I really liked the bimbo truck.
Okay.
You made a bimbo truck in Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
Sorry for the people watching that I don't have an image here. And I also really liked the yeah, what was it? The 3D, the Ace. It's called Ace. The wall on different, the work on different
Ah,
walls.
yeah. It's SEC, I think, because it's Centrum Educativo. Well, yeah, in Spanish.
Okay.
It's a new subway entrance. It's a very big
Yeah.
square, new square next to the National University of Law and a couple of other important buildings. And they asked me to do that mural on that moment
Mm-hmm.
for that place, and it's really nice because it has all these different layers, one wall behind another one, because of
Yeah. It
the
looks
ramp
amazing.
and stuff. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
It's
So
still one of my favorites.
it's still one of your favorites. So is there a top one now? Is there a different top one, or is it still
I
back
think
then
for
in
the
the article
murals, yeah,
for
yeah,
the
for the
mirror?
murals for sure, it's my favorite still. Yeah.
Yeah. And sculptures, or is there anything else to add to your favorites, or it's difficult to say?
Difficult to say because every time I finish one, I think it's the best, and then I go back and then I see the other ones. But it's still so young and still in
Hmm.
development that there's always something that I see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm getting there. But
Yeah, yeah. It's
and
always a
I
difficult question if I ask it to the artist. What's your favorite? Nobody's ever happy with the work, and they always see little things to improve for the next time.
exactly. No, I
Yeah.
have two now that I just sent to a client in the States as well, and I didn't show them yet online because the
Okay.
guy didn't receive them yet. So I was like, wait, I'm
Oh, okay.
waiting for showing them, because they're very nice. Yeah.
Okay, so this is probably what you mean with the hustle of shipping things from Argentina to the. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel what you mean. So, talking about your favorites, not your own favorite work, but are there any artists that particularly inspired you, or even
Well,
maybe your favorite artist?
um, real favorite artist? No, I don't have it, but I have like my list of I don't know 500
Yeah, yeah,
that I follow like steady online that I really like what they're making, and it's already for a long time. They always have been there. Um, like for instance, there's this lady. It's called Bev Fishman. I don't know if
okay.
that says
No,
something. She makes this sculptures for the wall sculptures,
okay.
very bright colors, all based on the pharmaceutical world and the pill popping culture that we have. You know, for everything a pill.
Yeah.
So she makes amazing work. Frank Stella, you know, it's super favorite. Always old
Hmm.
work, but even his new stuff, it's like really crazy. I think it's not only the work that he makes, but as an artist, if you see his whole life and what he, you know, that he's still making work on his age and stuff, it's just
Yeah.
mind blowing. Telmo Emile.
Yeah.
Geweldig wat ze doen. Sorry. Amazing what they do, you know. It has not,
Yeah. Yeah.
not so much to do with
Yeah.
my work, but yeah, there's something there, you know, that
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah.
the color use, everything is just so ridiculous and
Two
very good guys.
two artists from Rotterdam and Amsterdam together. Yeah.
And
Yeah. And
yeah,
if I look at particularly this part there, it also reminds me of the work of Felipe Panton.
good friend of mine. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
inspiration.
He's also doing really great work recently. He's kicking ass.
Yeah.
To
Yeah, no,
to s-
always innovating. Yes, like amazing team also where he works with, and
yeah.
just producing really good stuff, like highly technical and cleanness. That I have a little
Yeah.
print here, by like
Yeah. Show
talking
us the
about
studio.
him.
Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm not in my studio. I'm at home. What I said, I'm in the
Ah.
home studio of
Oh,
my
that's right.
wife. So
Yeah.
it's like I have a Z as well hanging there,
Oh, that's cool.
and
Yeah.
an alien.
Ah. Yeah. He's also from Argentina, right?
Yeah. Really good stuff. So
Alien Kali.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Nice guy.
So
So yeah, but and if you
eh,
well, I see a lot of resembling with the other works that you just showed. But you see a lot of abstract shapes here in the back, talking about nightlife here behind me. Um, but there's actually all kinds of things going on here, um, here in the back. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Because uh, the little name tag besides the work says it's a city grid with housing blocks and glass buildings illuminated with neon lights. So it's in some way it's also a city to you.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, what I said earlier, the work just started is based on my background and on Holland and everything, and my love for architecture and the
Hmm.
cities where you are and where you grow up, but also where I'm living now, that this huge concrete jungle,
Hmm.
and I was always a guy that loved the night, going around at night for the graffiti, of course, but also for the
Yeah,
party. So the two things were working very well.
very good.
And yeah, it's a reflection of like, I mean, I go out for a night and I see certain things happening or images or crops. I make photos. I come back and they're
Hmm.
like a little bit of a inspiration or a base for the next drawing or the next layout that I'm designing.
Okay.
And that's where it comes from. The transparencies, the lines that become thicker or thinner. Especially the moment that I painted that painting, I was very into the nightlife
Yeah.
and the neon. And now my colors are going down a little bit. Like lately, I've been using much more grays, for instance. Maybe it has to do with the whole
Yeah.
pandemic and.
Yeah.
But
Do you also always see this back in your work, like how you feel? How you? Yeah.
um, Yes, a little, yes. Like mostly later you see it. Like not so
Yeah,
much on the moment, but yeah, it has a big influence. Absolutely. Like
yeah,
the works of that area is they are much more complex and chaotic in a way. It's not chaotic, but there's much more information coming by
yeah,
than maybe the works that I've been doing lately. So because I've been calming down
yeah.
as a
Oh,
person. So.
yeah. Two kids now, and
Yeah,
y-
much more housey and two kids. So, family guy. You
yeah,
really notice that.
you're calm down. So,
No.
talking about inspiration, you just already spoke about your son Theo. Is he already inspired by you as an artist?
He hates to draw.
Uh, really?
Yeah.
Uh, it can still come, of course.
Yeah, you never know. But no, he doesn't like to draw so much, but he loves it when I paint the graffiti for like 5 minutes, and then it's like, well, okay, ciao. I'm gonna play
Yeah,
with my
yeah,
Lego.
yeah. Perfect.
But all good, everybody different. But
Yeah.
maybe with the new one, we're gonna see.
Oh yeah, I still have one question for you regarding, or maybe also the guys that you're looking at the wall right now. Is there any favorite collab that you would still love to do with an artist in the future?
Um, well, I'm always open to do collaborations, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I don't know exactly. I never like when I hear you ask that, I never really thought about it so good, to be
Okay.
honest. Collaborating. I have been now. I'm doing a couple of projects now, but it's what again like an architect that asked me to
Mm-hmm.
think about something for a space and then work together with that architect. As an artist as well, but
Yeah.
in the street art, if I can say that
Yeah.
world, no, I don't know. Um, there's a guy that's called David Umemoto. I don't know if you know him. He makes like
No.
this weird sculptures out of everything, more or less.
Okay.
Really nice work. I would maybe like to work with him one time. I think
Yeah.
it can be a nice collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Ah, well.
I don't know, maybe a graphic surgery or something, like
Yeah, that could also work.
guys from the south.
Yeah, or
That I
maybe
really like their
Casper.
style as well.
Yeah.
So,
Philippe and
what
Patona would also be cool.
yeah, but I like to have the shock maybe. So if
Yeah,
I
that's
get
right.
his name now, the Portuguese guy that makes the hands and the spray can, and you guys have a painting of
Ah,
him,
Nuno.
Nuno.
Yeah,
Imagine a painting of mine with something of Nuno, or that his T-shirt is with my pattern.
that should be cool.
But I'm thinking out loud now, so
Yeah, yeah. Well, you never know if Nuno is watching. We can for sure make something happen maybe at some point.
yeah. No.
Well, Daniel, for me, I think it comes to an end. I'm through all my questions.
Okay.
I'm not sure if there's any questions from the people watching, or if you maybe still have questions for us here in Amsterdam. And
Um, no, I don't know.
no, and otherwise, I would love to thank you for your time and joining me for this STRAAT talk here at STRAAT in Amsterdam. Stay safe there in Buenos Aires.
Thank you.
For sure, I would love to come back to BA at some point.
Yeah,
Um,
come. It's cheap now
still,
to go for Europeans.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's still for me. It's one of my favorite cities ever. I love to go to Boca and to River and to walk there
Yeah.
and eat the meat and 9 de Mayo.
Sí.
Yeah,
9 de
yeah,
julio,
yeah.
9 de julio and 25 de
Ah,
mayo. But
that's the big
yeah,
one. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Perfect. Well, stay safe.
More than welcome.
Keep inspiring us. Keep inspiring Theo maybe at some point, and we'll keep watching you on Instagram and hopefully soon here in Amsterdam again.
Thank you, David. Thank you,
Muchas
everybody, and
gracias.
see you next time. Bye bye.
Hasta pronto.
Hasta
Ciao.
pronto.
Ciao.